if I go into a store and I pick up either a protein bar or a protein powder, and on the front of it, it has some crap like 50 grams of protein, 60 grams of protein, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a bunch of trash and you are absolutely wasting your money. Your body can only absorb about 25 to 30 grams of protein in roughly a 2-hour time frame anyways. So all this protein overload is just marketing, and you are absolutely wasting your money. And it's probably full of a bunch of other crap anyways. And the protein is probably from a terrible, not even good source in the first place. I am your host, Victoria Ray, a certified transformational nutrition coach and expert in the areas of mental wellness and nutrition. This podcast is to provide you with the tools and knowledge you need so that you can live a healthier and more natural life in our world where everything's a little bit, hit or miss with, is this good for me? Is this not good for me? Is this bad for me? Is this not bad for me? There's a lot of confusion about that. So I am here to kind of help direct and help you out with some of those questions you might have. So good freaking morning. I hope all of you slept very well. I hope you woke up feeling refreshed and rested. And, if you drink coffee, I hope your coffee was amazing. I've been having a little bit of a fiasco lately with my coffee. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I have been cursed by the spirit of an angry being or what's happening, but for weeks, and I do mean weeks, there's been coffee grounds in my coffee cup. Like, I legitimately don't know what's happening because this does not normally happen, but it's been pretty consistent lately. I'm not doing anything different, so that's weird. At this point, it's just become expected, honestly. I'm not sure. I guess I just need someone to make my coffee for me. That seems like the only logical answer at this point. So volunteers for people who just want to make coffee for me in the morning. I will pay you in thanks. I will say thank you so much for this lovely cup of coffee that doesn't have coffee grounds in it. But seriously, I need to figure out what's going on. I don't know if I need to go get like a new screen for my French press because that's probably the problem. I'm gonna guess that's what it is, but I do love coffee, especially when I'm going to do like a morning gym sesh, which I really do like working out in the morning. I'm not a super early morning workout person just because when I wake up, I don't know if it just takes my body a little bit longer for those chemicals, that paralyze you at night. If it takes a little bit longer for that to wear off for me because I feel super unstrong, weak in the morning. Sometimes I have a hard time like grabbing things and pulling things. Like I've got a giant 130-pound Malamute. And good Lord, if that man does not want to cooperate with me in the mornings and I've got to like give him some, like a push or something, or be like, here, go outside, move, and he doesn't want to, he's going to stay there. It's his world. I live in it, especially in the morning because he knows, he's like, oh, I weigh more than you do and you can't do anything about it. So that's where we're at in the mornings. 10, maybe 11 is my ideal gym time. On days that I'm not at work, that's perfect. I love to go to the gym around that time because I feel like all that sleep paralyzation has worn off. I was able to have my coffee. I'll drink my cup. I'll get ready. Maybe 30, 45 minutes between having my coffee and being in the gym is ideal for me. That way I'm not feeling like I'm going to throw up coffee. I I don't like to drink a whole lot right before I go to the gym. Not that I'm like running or anything, but when I do lift really heavy, sometimes if you have a lot of liquid that you have consumed, you can be like, ugh. So I usually wait a little bit. But coffee has caffeine in it, obviously, which stimulates our nervous system, and it can help with delaying muscle fatigue that you can get when you're lifting in the gym. So it's a really good natural pre-workout that doesn't contain any of the big, bad, scary things that we're going to be covering today. So the first thing that I'd kind of like to talk about here is how a lot of these supplements that are at the store, on the shelves, or most of us order stuff online now. That's just, convenient and easy. And that's the way that, most people market to us. These supplements that are marketed towards, the fitness community, they have little to no regulation on what is in them. And yes, these companies are allowed to make shit up and put it on the label. And I'm not even kidding about that. They can basically say whatever they want. As long as they're not making health claims like this cures cancer. They can't say that. But they can pretty much say anything else, which is kind of upsetting, I guess, because it's very misleading. I think it's a little bit wrong because a lot of them are blatantly lying, especially like fat burners, where it's like boosts metabolism and burns fat. No, all that's doing is messing up your hormones, and you're gonna have a hard time later with that. So I suggest avoiding fat burners in general, just because they're not going to be doing anything good for you. If they are doing something for you in the short term, the long-term effects of that supplement are more than likely not going to be worth it. The reason, that these companies are allowed to kind of put whatever in their products and not be regulated is because of some legislation that was passed in 1994 that actually restricts the FDA from performing testing on dietary supplements. Now, that's kind of spooky, right? Like, they don't regulate these supplements, you guys. I don't have the most respect for the FDA with all of the things that have happened in the past couple years. I'm not saying they're the end all be all. However, the FDA is supposed to be there to regulate things like this and say, hey, this is safe for human consumption. Hey, this is not. And the fact that they're not able to perform testing on these things and confirm that what these companies say are in them, or what's not in them is not in them. So it's kind of like, oh, we're having to take their word on it. And I don't know about you, but I don't trust companies that are just trying to get money from me, because they have a big history of lying. So a study actually done in 2019 by Harvard showed that consumption of dietary supplements for weight loss, muscle building, and energy was associated with an increased risk for severe medical events. A lot of this is probably due to the unregulation. Again, we don't really know what's in this stuff. We just have to kind of take the company's word for it. Now, it's not that they're completely unregulated, but again, like I said, they can't do testing. So it's kind of like oh yeah, you said this was not in here, and then, trace amounts of whatever they said were in there are actually found in there. That actually happens pretty frequently. So something else really scary is that if an ingredient is below a certain level in these supplements, they don't have to put it on the label. Not that companies are like putting arsenic or something in there, but if it's below a certain amount, they wouldn't have to tell you. Obviously, they're not doing that, or I would hope they're not doing that. Now, and I'm not saying that these companies are like, oh, screw everybody, let's poison them. But if they can use a cheap ingredient, you can absolutely guarantee that they're going to look the other way rather than lose out on $1, because that is how capitalism works, you guys. That is how these companies make money, by cutting costs. If they can sell you something for 50 cents and charge you $40 for it, and then they can find out that they can use a cheaper ingredient and sell it for 25 cents and still sell it to you for $40, what do you think they're going to do? Obviously, they're going to go the cheaper route because their profit margins increase. And that is what business is about, is increasing your profit margins. And not all of these companies have the best integrity. Not all of them care about you and your health. A lot of them just care about your money. That's the sad reality of the world that we live in. So some of these ingredients, they're not only really bad for you, but they can actually be harming your mitochondria, harming your cells, and yes, even making you fat. Now, a lot of us go to the gym to avoid being fat and to build muscle and to burn fat. And sadly, a lot of these supplements that we are taking, a lot of the supplements that are marketed towards the fitness industry, are doing the opposite of that. So now we've got a lot of the scary stuff out of the way, let's look at what you can do to help spot this bullshit on supplements and, keep everything that you've worked so hard for in the gym. So what should you be looking at when buying pre-workout? And what should you be avoiding? So one of the most destructive things to our health that we know of is processed sugars. Now, most people know this. So these companies have made this huge movement towards sugar-free and zero-calorie supplements, especially pre-workout powders. But how are they getting these things so sweet without sugar? That is because they're using artificial sweeteners, specifically sucralose, which tends to be the most common, and it is one of the worst ones, aside from, aspartame. But I think companies try not to use that because people know how bad aspartame is, but people don't really know about sucralose. It's a little bit newer, but it is not good for you. A new study from George Washington University shows how artificial sweeteners are actually contributing to obesity. Now, I'm going to drop a huge bomb on you really quick, and I hope you are ready. Okay, so 40% of the world's population is obese. Okay, I'm going to say that again so it really, really sinks in to your beautiful little brain. 40% of the world's population is obese. Not just overweight, obese. Now, if that's not a little bit scary to you, it should be. Because we can look back, 20, 30 years, how many people were obese? Roughly half, if not less. So that should definitely be telling you something. We're seeing more and more people consume these artificial sweeteners with higher and higher rates of obesity. Sucralose actually increases the glucose transporter, which is a protein that helps glucose get into our cells, and it promotes the accumulation of fat. Now, we also know that these artificial sweeteners can absolutely destroy our microbiome, which leads to an accumulation of bad gut bacteria, which, yes, causes bloating, cravings for unhealthy foods, slows down your metabolism, and overall just causes us to gain weight and generally just feel terrible. These supplements are also full of artificial coloring because, for some reason, we're all children and we love to make our drinks turn colors. I mean, me too, obviously, I like that. But a lot of these are lab-made chemicals that are affecting our bodies on a cellular level in a very, very, very bad way. Now, you may not know how to properly do your taxes, but I can almost guarantee that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, right? Well, you will never get the gains that you want. You will never have the level of energy that you want if your mitochondria are damaged. And that is what a lot of these artificial sweeteners artificial colorings, artificial flavorings are doing. They're not just, I'm not just sitting here saying, oh, they're bad for you. They are really bad for you. They are actually damaging your cells. They are damaging the very thing that creates energy for your body, for your brain, gives you that ability to go harder in the gym, is being damaged by consuming a lot of these chemicals, these artificial sweeteners, all of these things that your ancestors or you would not normally come in contact with because they are not natural and they are just messing up everything in our bodies. So we're poisoning our little mitochondria. They're super important. So let's not poison them because we need to care about them. What do I suggest instead? I suggest finding, if you really want a pre-workout, find something that doesn't have all of that in there. Find something that the caffeine source is a clean caffeine source, from like a coffee bean or from a green tea extract. If you want a colored pre-workout, find one that has colors from like spirulina or turmeric if you want it orange, or whatever the color is. Make sure that's coming from a natural source. Find one without a bunch of preservatives in it. If you look at a label and you're reading on the back of it and it's super, super long, that's probably an indicator that you don't want that one, because what are all those things in there? Now, I'm not saying that every label that's long is bad. However, that tends to kind of be the case. Now, On It makes a really great pre-workout. They use cordyceps mushrooms, which increase your oxygen utilization. You could try just using coffee in general, which is what I do. If you don't know what's on the label, if you don't know what it says, I would just generally just kind of avoid it. Okay, so next we have protein powders. Now this is a big one. A lot of people who don't take pre-workout do take protein powder. I use protein powders not as I use it as a supplement. So the thing that we do need to remember about all of these things is they are to supplement your diet. This is not, your protein powder shouldn't be your entire meal for the day. I know that sometimes, especially women, we get this idea in our heads of, I'm fat, I need to be skinnier, this is what I'm going to do, I'm just not going to eat as much, and I'm just going to drink this protein powder. And that's not good, because that's not giving you everything that you need. That's not giving you all of your nutrition. You need to be eating real whole foods. That is going to be the best way to get your metabolism to work efficiently, work at its best. That's going to be the best thing for your body. Whole, real foods. And again, using supplements to supplement. Now, if we're trying to, get really big, gain a lot of muscle, yeah, you do want to increase your protein consumption. And protein powders are a really, really good, easy way to do that. We just have to be careful what's in them, because not all protein powders are created equally. They're not. They're just not the same. Just because something advertises 50 grams of protein per serving on the label does not mean it is good for you. If I go into a store and I pick up either a protein bar or a protein powder, and on the front of it, it has some crap like 50 grams of protein, 60 grams of protein, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a bunch of trash and you are absolutely wasting your money. Your body can only absorb about 25 to 30 grams of protein in roughly a 2-hour time frame anyways. So all this protein overload is just marketing, and you are absolutely wasting your money. And it's probably full of a bunch of other crap anyways. And the protein is probably from a terrible, not even good source in the first place. Because what is the source of the protein? Is it whey protein concentrate? Is it whey protein isolate? Because both of those are very different. Isolate is highly processed, and I suggest staying away from that. Whey protein concentrate is perfectly okay. Again, you want to make sure that it's a good supplement, not a $10 5-pound bag. That's probably not going to be the best thing. I also, is it soy? Is it like, what else is in there? A lot of the times they like to mix these proteins. Like you'll see whey protein concentrate and then whey protein isolate. Is because one of them's a little bit cheaper, or they'll throw in some soy protein in there, and that's going to be able to let them put that protein number as higher on the front, which is appealing to people. So do be aware of that. Soy protein is not going to be the same as whey protein. I also recommend staying away from soy just because of how highly processed it is and because of its glyphosate contamination. If you really want to fuck up your microbiome, go and consume a bunch of glyphosate-laden products. You will get there so fast. Also, what does the amino acid profile look like on your protein? If your protein doesn't have the amino acid profile listed, I would not buy it because you literally have no idea what you're getting. Does it even have a full amino acid profile? You don't know because they don't tell you. What's the content of leucine? And this is very important, especially for those of you who really want to build more muscle, because leucine has the most direct effect on protein synthesis. If your protein supplement isn't listing these things out for you, that is a problem. Protein is not just protein. Plant and animal proteins are completely different. They are not the same. 20 grams of pea protein is not the same as 20 grams of animal protein. The profiles are completely different. And you will build muscle differently depending on what you're consuming. My suggestion here is always going to be, obviously, go with real whole foods first. Eat your protein from eggs, fish, meats, cheese, etc. like that, and then supplement on top of that with these things. But do know what you're spending your money on because that is your money, and you don't want to waste it on some crappy protein that's full of fillers, inflammatory oils, artificial sweeteners, subpar protein, and other things that are just gonna wreck your gains, cause you to have gut problems. So you're gonna have constant bloating, you're gonna have all of these intestinal issues, acne, eczema, all of these other things that you can get from consuming these, again, unregulated products. So do be careful. Just because the front of a label looks good, because it looks appealing, you have to keep in mind these companies spend a lot of money on marketing. They hire really, really good designers who understand human psychology. They understand color. They understand what we like, what looks good to us. They understand wording. They do this stuff on purpose. You can't just look at the front of something. You can't just look at the label and say, oh, this says it's going to make me huge. Okay, it can say that all at once, but again, they can pretty much say whatever they want to as long as they're not making a medical claim. So please look at the back of it. Look and see, does it have the amino acid profile listed? If it doesn't, I would find something else because, again, you don't know what you're getting. You don't know what you're spending your money on, and you might be completely wasting it. And I don't want you to do that. You work too hard for that. You work really hard in the gym. I know that you do. So don't let these crappy supplements mess up what you're trying to accomplish. Eat real food. Check your ingredient label. Again, just because a brand is popular does not mean it's good for you. Just because you see these fitness influencers on Instagram, on TikTok with these products, one, if they're a fitness influencer, they're probably getting money from those products. They're probably getting a percentage because, what they do is they give an affiliate link. You click on the affiliate link, they get a percentage of those sales. That doesn't mean it's good for you. Just because someone's like, look, I use this. They may not even use it. The internet is fake. Most things on the internet are not real. People's lives are not as glamorous and cool and awesome as the internet makes them seem. Okay? So do keep that in mind. Check your ingredient label again for your sake, for your money, for your wallet, for your physical health. Another thing, you know how many times a year I go into GNC? I don't. I don't even look at that place when I walk by. I think that place is terrible. Now, if you're a GNC employee and you're listening to this, I do apologize. I'm probably about to offend you, but these guys are not nutritionists. They're sales associates. They don't know how the ingredients in these supplements affect you. They are there to sell you all of this stuff and make their commission because that is their job, because they are sales associates. Please do your homework before you spend $50 to $100 on something that is, again, unregulated by the FDA. I don't want you wasting your money. I don't want you fucking up your metabolism. I don't want you making yourself fat on accident just because you're using a product that you saw on TikTok or on the shelf of GNC that said, I'm going to burn your fat for you. Because that's not how that works. You work too hard for that, guys. Don't waste your money. Eat real food. Don't consume artificial ingredients because you are going to be hurting your gains. You want to make sure that you are getting the full amount of protein. And again, if you're vegan, I understand why you don't want to consume the animal products, but you can also get vegan proteins with the amino acid profile listed. They do make those, and I highly recommend going out and finding those types of products so that you can make sure, yes, you are getting all of the essential amino acids and that you know how much of each one that you're getting. Because again, the proteins are different, and protein's extremely, extremely important. As always, again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have gained something valuable from this episode. I hope you can walk away from this today with a little bit more knowledge and feeling a little bit more confident when you go into the store to buy supplements or when you're on your phone buying supplements, because let's be honest, that's what most of us do. So again, I really, really appreciate all of you wonderful people. And until next time, my friends, go out there and have yourself a great freaking day.